We'll jump straight in with the international break and some things that have happened and a couple of standout performers. It's been another pretty good international break, I think, on the whole for Liverpool and Liverpool players. Curtis Jones we'll speak about in a bit more depth later, but he was a standout for England. Salah not going at all was a big plus for Liverpool. Van Dijk coming home early, although potentially bad news for Liverpool on that. We'll touch on that a bit later as well. Goals for Conor Bradley and for Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson, the late winner against Scotland, that would be a huge boost for him, the role he's played for his country there. But I wanted to start in depth by talking about Andy Robertson's international teammate, a man who's not currently at Liverpool but on loan at Middlesbrough from Liverpool, Ben Doak. He seems to have been one of the standout players from this international break for Scotland. 2 great performances against Croatia in particular. He was superb against Gvardiol, obviously big money Man City defender, so a standout performance from him. He's been okay for Middlesbrough so far this season, but without pulling up too many trees, but pretty good. But I mean, Liverpool will be pretty happy seeing what he's done on international duty. Do you think within the club, and obviously it spans just more than 2 games for Scotland, but within the club, there's a feeling that he can be a future first teamer for Liverpool? There's a role for him in that first team?
It sounds a bit negative to go in on this, but I kind of don't know really, because, I'm a little bit sort of not concerned, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case. I mean, clearly, I think he's shown in this period he is a massive talent, isn't he? It's a big reason why Liverpool got him in from Celtic when they did, and he has looked so lively when he's played for the academy teams. He's just been an absolute live wire and always kind of stood out at that level. And obviously this loan's been good for him. He seems to be taking confidence from that, as you say, not necessarily pulling up any trees massively, but some good performances in there, and then he's going away with his country and being, as you say, one of the standouts there. But the reason I've got any kind of skepticism about him at Liverpool, I guess, is that I just know, and it was very much my understanding, there was an openness to selling him that in the summer just gone. That was something that was on the table. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. He ended up getting a decent loan move to Middlesbrough there. But the fact they were open to selling him then, I feel like it would take something huge for that to kind of change this season, and probably would have taken him, he'd have to probably do more in this loan spell at Middlesbrough, probably score more goals, set some more goals up, and those numbers aren't quite there. And obviously he's still a very young player, so there's development to come. But you think of, a lot of the attackers who kind of tend to succeed at clubs like Liverpool and hit that level, they tend to generally be succeeding at a young age. And I'm not writing him off, by the way. I will underline that I've been massively impressed by him in the academy, but it's just that openness to sell from Liverpool's side last summer. Clearly a kind of decision was made there that, maybe he's not going to reach the level, or he's not going to reach the level without regular football elsewhere, which is what he needs on a permanent basis. So that seemed to be the decision they made. And obviously that didn't come around in the end, but I suspect when next summer comes around that maybe they probably won't be unmoved from that sort of that decision. Unless he completely tears it up in the latter part of the season at Middlesbrough. And so, yeah, I'm not sure that he's sort of a guaranteed future star at Liverpool. I think they're just too well stocked in those forward positions. Now they've got 6 there. They probably can't offer him the minutes. And I do think that a kind of call was made last summer that maybe it's kind of decided his fate at Liverpool, really.
Yeah, it is an interesting, wasn't it? I think, I mean, as you say, he's shown flashes. The eye test, he comes up with some really good moments. And again, we'll point to those 2 Scotland games as probably the biggest stage he's done that on so far, to draw wider attention. I did see a stat that in all of Europe's leagues, I think only Vinicius Junior and Bradley Barcola had more carries into the penalty area. So he's got that sort of attacking thrust, hasn't he? That can make him an exciting player. Obviously, he's playing at a lower level than a lot of players he's up against in that metric. And that's only one stat. Doesn't really count what he does then in the area, whether he gets an assist or goal and things like that, which are obviously the most important things. But yeah, he's one of those players who, he's got something, there's a bit of spark, bit of excitement there. But I think another thing that counts against him in terms of Liverpool is you're asking him maybe to, if he's going to be a first teamer going forward, he's going to be following in the footsteps of Mo Salah on that right wing. And, that's just an unrealistic ask for almost anyone in world football to be succeeding Salah in that area, yet alone. So Ben Doak, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that carry statistic is really interesting because I think that's always been his strength since he signed for Liverpool. When he first saw him in and around the first team, and even in academy games, really, he's an unbelievable dribbler. Really good off both feet, so he can really go either way, and that puts confusion in defenders' minds. So I'm not really surprised that he ranks highly for that. But the big question mark is, if you are going to be Liverpool's level, it is end product. It's, you look at Mo Salah's output, that is what Liverpool need on that right wing. It's what they need on the left wing up front. And he just hasn't got that yet. As I say, I'm not writing him off by any means. He's a very, very young lad, and there's a lot of development to come there. But obviously Liverpool, in that sort of hierarchy there, who make the sporting decisions, they get to see him in training. They get to hear back from the manager where he's up to. And clearly they think he's a few steps away from having that consistent end product, whether it's going to come at that level at all anyway. And so you do have to make these tough decisions at times. And as I say, the fact that he did make that call last summer, even though it didn't end in a permanent exit, I just think the writing's kind of on the wall for him at Liverpool. But still can have a really, really good career, and maybe be one of those who has a slightly delayed kind of climb to the very top of the game as well. And maybe Liverpool will regret it in the long term. But I do think that's the way it's probably going to go, is that, a permanent exit at the moment kind of looks the likeliest outcome to me.
Yeah, and it's tended to be, I mean, you might be able to come up with an example. I haven't thought of it, but it's tended to be, if a player is seen as, a future first teamer at Liverpool, they tend to keep him about more than send him on loan, and try and filter him into the first team. Certainly in recent years, you look at Conor Bradley and Curtis Jones and people like that who have come through the ranks, and they tend to keep him about rather than send them on loan. So the fact that he has gone on loan, maybe, obviously it's not a death knell to his Liverpool career, and if he tears it up on loan, that's a great thing. But I don't know if you agree, they tend to keep the players that they've really got the highest hopes for around rather than sending them out on loan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been the policy in recent years. I mean, the only exception to that was Harvey Elliott, with him going on loan to Blackburn, but there was never any doubt that was just all about kind of getting him the minutes that he needed, and he was a rare sort of the exception that kind of proves the rule. Really, they haven't done it in any other circumstances, and Harvey Elliott only did go out that once on loan as well, and it was, it did really, really well, and so it made sense to keep him there as well. He was playing under a good manager in Tony Mowbray, and playing the right style of football, so that loan spell was really, really important for him. But as you say, the likes of Curtis Jones hasn't gone anywhere. They haven't, and I think, they have tended to keep them around, as you say. So, yeah, it's an interesting. Although I'm just thinking then off the top of my head, actually, Conor Bradley is kind of excelled after he had a loan spell, didn't he, in League One? So I guess it's kind of a bit up and down, really, in terms of, it was maybe a few years ago was definitely the policy to keep them in. Maybe they are a little bit more open to the loans now, and I actually think probably Harvey Elliott's was influential in that. But as I say, I don't think that's the case with Doak. I don't think it's one where he's going to come back and be a first teamer and being around it, not least because if he signs Salah to a new contract, he's got Chiesa in front of him, he's got Salah in front of him. It's just really hard to see where you get him the minutes that he needs in that position.